Burn it. Boil it. Blend it.
Hi, and welcome to Yeti at Large. This is a channel focused on making the most out of what you have, no matter where you're at. Thanks for tuning in and helping out.
Today we're going to do a very simple blended fire roasted salsa using the 5 Romas we have, 2 jalapenos, medium sized yellow sweet onion. I'll throw in a little El Guapo coriander, cumin, a little lime juice, black pepper, sea salt, paprika, mild chili powder, oregano, fresh cilantro, Macayo's green chilies, garlic. We'll go through the process of burning the skins off the tomatoes, jalapenos, bring it to a quick boil, and then straight into the blender. And I think this batch we're gonna can. Now, a lot of people doing a fire roasted salsa would be utilizing the grill to char the skins off the tomatoes. Don't prefer to do that because I feel like it introduces more heat into the fruit than I want. And I'm not looking to lose the texture and the quality of the fruit. I'm more interested in just getting these hard skins off. So since Yeti at Large, we can run bachelor rules. If anyone's ever had a creme brulee in a fancy restaurant, it's almost guaranteed that this is the method that they use to burn the sugar on top. With this method though, I like to use the MAP gas, that's the yellow tank, because it's going to burn quite a bit hotter. And here we have a cameo from our first salsa video with Charo the habanero. Here's some of the hot sauce that's left from the previous batch. We recycle these old hot sauce bottles because bottles are terribly expensive. And Agnes is always curious when we're talking about food, but she is not a huge salsa fan. So nothing is staged in this kitchen for a cooking show. Space is tight and things are where they are to be used. I have this cutting board cut exactly to the right size for what I needed, and because I like you people, I'm going to be using the large cutting board, which maybe normally I wouldn't feel the need to, but it might shoot a little bit better. I also try to be really tight with peeling vegetables and waste and whatnot. I think folks throw away a lot of food that otherwise might be decent for the purposes of a sauce like this. I store a lot of my pans above my counter, and based on that I have to wash them before I use them every time. This is a bench knife. If anyone's ever worked in a bakery, you know this inherently. This is probably one of the most useful tools I have in a kitchen, and I will run it over any surface that I know is going to touch food before I let it touch food. And that way I know that it is mechanically clean, and that is a huge help. So for a boiled salsa like this, there's really no need to dice anything or get the shapes and everything just perfect. But I do like to put the onions on the bottom, knowing the size will help them blend. Tomatoes next, jalapenos after that. And if you want to substitute jalapeno for a different pepper, I use basically 6 Roma tomatoes. I got 5 here because I used one last night for dinner. I use 2 jalapenos, seeds, membrane, and everything. I just take the tops off. Or 3 serranos might substitute depending on your heat level. And if you make your salsa and you think you want a little conservative and you want to heat it up a little bit, you always got like ground cayenne pepper or some of the other hot sauce that you may have. One of the reasons I'm trying to cut all of this and get it in the order that we need it in, flesh of the fruit to cook properly and release some of those gel qualities that it has. I'm not sure how much actual pectin is on this kind of stuff, but if you bring it to a little boil and blend it then when it's hot, it seems to come together beautifully. So, onions on the bottom, tomatoes and peppers, and now we'll build the rest of our ingredients on top of this. If you came here looking for a precise recipe for a tabletop boiled salsa, you're not going to get an exact one. Cooking is an art, baking is a science. When we do bakery stuff, I will give you precise formulas with exact measurements. But here, we go to taste. And when you've made something so many times, you kind of know what you like. Just to recap, we got 4 or 5 Romas, a medium smallish onion, 2 jalapenos, small can of mild green chili, 5 or 6 cranks on the pepper, and no, he's not a sergeant, but maybe, just maybe someday, he'll get promoted, line cooks. I don't necessarily use measuring spoons a lot, but they can be helpful to kind of keep you eyeball. You can always add more salt downrange if you want. You don't have to over salt it now. Anytime you're using a dried green herb, give it a good grind. If you doubt, smell it before. Man, smell it afterwards. That's a little oregano. This is a little mild chili powder. Sorry about the angle. I'm backwards there. Little paprika. And always be careful pouring stuff straight into your sauce. Sometimes it's best to pour it onto a container and then into your sauce. Little basic cumin. Ooh, brand new, never been used. Remember, that stuff's strong, so a little goes a long way there. And then El Guapo, spices and teas and whatnot. If you have these in your local grocery store, I strongly recommend you explore them. The prices are very affordable, and never had a problem with their ingredients yet, especially the camarones seco. So there's our coriander. I added half a clove of garlic. I talked about, I almost forgot that. Boy, you taste though right away. Then as far as the water measurement goes, maybe just a pint, and I use really nice filtered RO water. You can adjust that as needed, but I always try to go conservative, so it might be a little thick to begin with, but if it is, once you're all said and done, you can add a little bit of water. At this point, we put our freshly washed lid and turn it up on 3/4. I'm just using an ordinary household electric stove and turn on the right burner on 3/4. It was about 14.5 minutes. Let's round it up to 15 by the time I'm done talking. If you think you got a little too much moisture in there, you're seeing a lot of water, you can just crack the lid and let it vent a little bit. And that'll be fine. Let's let it calm down before we go to blend it. I've got my slotted spoon ready to get my solids out into my blender. Typically this batch is just a little bit more than this blender cup will hold, but you'll see the idea of to try to get a good amount of the solids, and the slotted spoon kind of makes that able. So I just kind of divide it into half, eyeball wise, knowing that I've got more liquids on the bottom than I do on the first half, and I use the pulse feature. And we're not going to go crazy. We don't want to puree it into a thin sauce, but we also want to make sure that we get enough of it broke down that it's good on a chip. I think that's good. Pour it into a clean stainless steel bowl. Let it sit for a second and drain well. And now we'll come back, add the remainder of this, and adjust with our liquid. And there you have it. All right, we pulled a little bit out, put it in a cup, because I'm not going to sample it right over the pot. That would just be weird. Let's try it, see if it needs adjustments. Oh my God. You got to be kidding me. All right, one more just to be sure. No double dipping. Oh my God. Salsa that we're going to can for a high acid canning environment, and please don't take anything I tell you on this channel as advice for canning. Know your recipes, do your research, and consult with good recipe books and canning books. I use the Ball Cook book, and it works great. But this is just an ordinary aluminum stock pot. I bought a screen off Amazon for a couple bucks that fits in the bottom. I'll put enough water in there to get to that required depth on my 2-quart jars. I really do like the ball jars. These are expensive right now. I like the straight sides. It makes a good drinking glass if that's what you want it for. It takes a large lid. They're easy to load. They store well, and they seem to fit in my pantry very good. So if you've got a good deal on jars in your area, by means, follow your judgment. And then I know a lot of people will tell you that you don't need to sanitize and boil the lids and rings. That old habits die hard. So like I was saying, this is a basic example of a ball canning jar blue book, and it has on page 81 a jalapeno or a fiesta salsa, very similar to the one we're doing here. And I'm reading that it wants to process 15 minutes in a boiling water canner. Never hurts to double check. I sanitize my funnel, I sanitize my ladle, and we can go ahead and fill this while it's still very hot. I haven't put a thermometer on it right now, but I will in just a moment, and I'll make some calculations. It might have gotten a little cooler than I'm used to. When I'm moving real quick, it's still pretty hot. So that's a decent amount of head space, and again, many of your recipes will dictate how much of that head space you want to run. So I can just move this out of the way for right now, and let's fill our second one. And again, consult a canning book. Don't take anything I'm telling you here. There's too much at stake, and to can properly does require some basic knowledge, some basic tools, and attention to detail. One thing I like about this funnel is the height of the funnel sets perfect headspace. I'm a huge fan. I have a clean paper towel with a little white wine vinegar on it just for the rim. Boop. And yes, sound effects help everything. Put the rings on there. And again, finger tight. I generally don't reuse lids. I know some people can and do. I reuse rings like crazy if they're clean and don't have any warping or discoloration. Those are in good shape. When you lift a lid, always tip it back in and let the water run into the pot, not all over your countertop. Alright, so this is not at a full rolling boil. And again, I am not giving you canning advice. I cannot stress that enough. We've got good spacing in there because we have such a small batch. I'm going to wait until this comes to a rolling boil, and then I'll start my timer, and I'm going to add 2 minutes just to make sure we get it up to a good temperature. We're at a full rolling boil. We got the right height of water on there, and I'm going to start the timer for 17 minutes. And let's let them go. All right, so that's time. And we'll just ease them onto a towel. I didn't mention it before, but I tell you, I've used this pot and this canner on this glass stovetop many times, so I'm aware that it appears to be somewhat safe at the moment. Don't do any kind of heavy cooking or canning on your stovetop at home unless you're absolutely certain and you've read the manufacturer's advice on that. I think most of the manufacturers would tell you don't, especially the pressure canners. Those can be a real handful sometimes. I'm not a huge fan of pouring boiling water down the drain just because plastic fittings underneath there, that might be a little too much. I'm just dabbing the water off of it. We're going to make sure that these rings are slightly snug. And then they've already boinked. That's a technical term. When they cool, the lids will suck down, and sometimes you'll hear them all go 20-30 minutes later after you've pulled them off the heat, and it's quite a rewarding feeling. Well, that's about it. We've got most of our cleanup done ahead of time, so that makes it a lot easier and we can enjoy the leftovers. Did we do good today, Agnes? Did we do good? Filling your pantry is done in bite-sized chunks, especially if stuff's coming out of the garden in small batches. I very much appreciate you coming along and helping out today. Please like and subscribe and leave comments below for future topics you'd like to see. And this is for Marie. Agnes, is it time for a cookie? Is it cookie time? Let's do our long distance throw. Jonas Sapitas, up on the couch. No, go to the further side. There you go. All right, today, Agnes, we're going to go with the fire hydrant. These are Trader Joe's cookies. That's a good catch.